Hi there, welcome back. This is the document training part of your education. What we're going to be doing here is the consumer information statement that's required by the state of Delaware for all transactions. Here it is up here, and I'm just going to scroll through it real quick to show you what's here. It's a 3-page document, and what it does, the purpose of it is it describes the relationships that real estate agents such as you have with your clients and or customers. So there's a couple important things to know about this. Number one, this is a Delaware requirement. So any transaction that you have, any client or customer that you meet is supposed to, letter of the law, have this signed, whether it involves a transaction or not, or let's say whether it actually becomes a transaction or not. This should be signed by everybody you meet. I'll give you a good practice right off the start. There's a number of real estate agents who have this as a PDF, as a link online somewhere, and they have it as a link in the bottom of their email. So every time somebody emails them, this is down there at the very bottom. So who signs it? You're going to sign it. Your customers are going to sign it. It is, again, required by the Real Estate Commission. But here's the thing, and if you notice here in the first sentence, here it is here. It is not a contract. Sometimes you may get people who don't want to sign it. And to the letter of the law, you're supposed to meet them, say hello, shake hands, and then say, hey, would you sign this? And a lot of people are just hesitant to do that right out of the get-go. By Delaware law, that's what you're supposed to do. It should be signed, I think they've altered it a little bit, it should be signed in a reasonable amount of time after first meeting your new customer or client. But what you want to explain to them is it's not a contract. They're not agreeing to anything whatsoever. They are signing it simply as a receipt, as an acknowledgement that they got the form. That's all they're doing. So that kind of lessens the blow quite a bit. You're not creating any kind of agency, or I'm going to be your agent, I'm going to be your buyer's agent, I'm going to be your seller's agent. None of that stuff. All right, so I would like you to read this over on your own so that you become familiar with it. But you can see here that the first part is presumed agency as soon as you start talking and working with someone. There's a statutory agent. This is under Delaware law. We are now statutory agents, so you may be a dual agent. A statutory agent is someone who's not your fiduciary, but is an agent specified in what they can and cannot do by Delaware statutory laws. So, some important terms. This is all the CIS does. It describes some of the terms. It describes what brokers, associate brokers, and salespeople must do, which is comply with laws, etc., etc. You could read that there, and you should know that. You should know this here, so that you know what you can do, cannot do. What you may do, you may list similar properties for sale. In other words, let's say you list a little ranch house that's 900 square feet, and gosh, 2 miles away, you're going to list another ranch house, and that one's 950 square feet. Similar houses, it says there, you may do that. All right, it explains about common law agency. Now, on page 3, there's nothing on page 1 or page 2 for you to fill out. So you could just scroll right to the 3rd page. Up here, in this area here, you're going to put in your name. This is the name I usually use when I'm selling, or who I'm selling to. And the licensee, you're going to be putting in your name. So you're not going to, you're not going to type in this. Whoops. No, you're going to put in, your actual name. There. Now, in our Dropbox, I already have these forms filled out with, you can see here, it says, here's our address and all that stuff, just to save you time. All right. For the most part, the relationship, note this, nothing needs to be completed in this paragraph because the law already presumes You want an agency representation and dual agency unless you want to opt out by choosing a different status. So give your customers time to review it, read it over, but they don't need to click any of these things here or here. What they do need to do is sign it here. Signature, seller, or buyer. If there's two of them, they both sign it. And please note, you need to sign. It says signature of broker or licensee. You're the licensee. So you need to sign it as well. When we move forward, you're going to be putting these documents into our document management software, which at the moment is called SkySlope. It's going to require that you have the CIS because that's Delaware law. It will, if I don't see this signature by you, I'll bounce it back. And you should have the date that you gave it to the buyer. Now, Real Life 101, I do see very often that you'll take buyers out, or an agent will take buyers out for 2, 3, 4 times. They find something they like, let's sit down, write it up. Oh yeah, by the way, I have this CIS. To the letter of the law, the CIS needs to be filled upon as soon as possible after your first visit, so that they know what the relationship is. So to Delaware law, you have inadvertently represented them, and they don't really know what you can and cannot do. And in this state here, we do have a lot of out-of-staters coming in from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. I was just talking to a new home salesperson who said she is starting to see a lot of folks coming down from Connecticut now, which is a little newer. So we're certainly being discovered. So to the letter of the law, this needs to be done prior to taking them out. I say get it done as soon as possible. I would rather you didn't get it done at the last minute when you're writing an offer, but certainly if that's the first time, the best time that you can do it, then do it. Don't upload the documents without this. It's required, and you're going to see that required button in our management system there too. All right, hang on. Okay, I'm back. I had to just take a break here for a minute to review some notes. The other thing I wanted to tell you was that to the letter of the law, you should have this for every customer that you meet, whether it pans out into something or not, and you should keep these on file somewhere. That's number one. Number two, as far as what you upload to our management software system, SkySlope, I'll be honest with you, I don't care about page 1 or page 2 because there's nothing in there. There's no initials at the bottom that needs to be done. There's nothing on page 2. So it's up to you. I'm not going to mind either way. If you want to upload all 3 pages, that's fine. If you want to upload just the last page, that's fine. That's number one. Number two, when you have this signed, you should have them sign 2 copies, or at least make sure that they get a copy. The client, whenever you're having somebody sign something in real estate, you want them to have a copy of it. So, sometimes with a listing agreement, I'll give them blank copies of what they haven't signed yet. And then I'll give them the signed copies later by making a PDF of it or something like that. But as a good general rule with the document management, if somebody's signing something, they should have a copy of it. Always do that. Whether you get it to them right away or get it to them later. Ideally, you get it to them right away. So they sign 2 copies of these things. Next, you should keep these on file for yourself, whether you upload them to some online storage service or keep them in a box, but you should be able to produce them should you ever get audited. And in review, it's page 3 that's going to get filled out. Oh, make sure that when you give them a copy that they get all 3 pages. I said I only need the last page, and that's your choice. But if don't just print out the last page and have your clients, customers sign it. That absolutely defeats the process. So just keep in mind, this is not a contract. It's not an obligation to pay. You're not creating any type of "I will work with you" agreement. Has nothing to do with that. This is required by the state of Delaware. That's what you explain to folks. And that's the way I usually explain it. This is a form required by the state of Delaware. It's nothing more than an information form for consumers. It explains what can be done and can't be done, and just goes over the relationships involved in real estate. Like I said, it's required by Delaware, and I just need you to sign it. But understand, Mr. and Mrs. potential buyer, that when you sign it, you're not agreeing to anything. It's not a contract. It's not anything to pay. You're signing it in acknowledgement that you received it, and that's all there is to it. Now, what if they don't sign? Well, you're supposed to write. I've seen one attorney say, well, then you tell them to sign it, and then underneath it write they won't sign it. So I like that from an attorney. They can sign it somewhere else and just say refuse to sign. But what I would do is I would write right across, let's say, here, somewhere in here, I would write they refuse to sign, or customer refused to sign, and then I would still sign it. So you still need it for the transaction and upload it, and you need it for your files, whether it's signed or not. All right, so your homework, go into Dropbox, find this, take a look at it, read it over. I want you to read over all 3 pages of this. You need to be familiar with this. You need to be able to have a good talking point with it. That's number 1. Number 2, practice what you're going to say, because you're going to say this a lot. So like I said, this is a form by the state of Delaware. Have yourself a little bit of a script, if you will, to keep it short and sweet and explain it. All right, and I don't usually go over point by point. I just say this is required for you to have. You need to sign it. You acknowledge it. Simple as that. All right, till next time. Thank you.